What is up, guys? Today we're going to be doing a new video. Essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be showing every rework skill that was reworked into Wild Rift from Summoner's Rift, aka League of Legends. So for instance, Garen got changed quite a bit, and with his ulti, Lee Sin also got a rework. So yeah, with that being said, let's get right into the video and show you guys all the rework skills of all these champions in Wild Rift. So first up, in this rework, the only thing that's changed on Akali is essentially she cannot use her E on her W anymore. So everything same as you can see, blah blah blah. But then when it comes to her W and E, she can't E back to it. And that's basically the only change on her in Wild Rift. Now in this game mode, the only thing that's changed on Darius is basically his ultimate. Instead of getting it reset at level 16, it resets at all levels. So instead of waiting the 12-second timer before you can ult again at level 6, you can basically get it at always. Watch this. What? Has to kill them though, so as you can see, it's still up and there's no timer ticking down on it. We'll wait a few seconds. It's basically been up the whole time for the last 12 seconds, so that's the only rework for Darius in this game mode. In Wild Rift. In Wild Rift, Evelyn's Q is now just 2 spikes that she shoots out of her, I don't know, but she shoots 2 spikes instead of shooting a dart that increases her damage if you landed it, and then basically the next 3 abilities or attacks on that champion or minion or monster is enhanced. But in Wild Rift, it's now just 2 little spikes that do damage, but you can cast it a lot. So Conquer on her is actually suggested for one of the room plates if you want to play her. Everything else though does seem the same. In Wild Rift, Jax cannot leap to wards, and it can only leap to minions, plants, monsters, basically anything that's not a ward. Wards are for the most part inanimate and cannot be really touched by things like Lee Sin W, which also got reworked, but we will get into that later. So make sure there's a minion by you, or a monster, or a champion, or a plant. In Wild Rift, the attack damage goes down from 100 to 70. For ability to level it up, you need 80 ability power instead of 100. And for attack speed, you need 65 instead of... Well, actually, I don't know. Let me check it out. So, yeah. This is because in Wild Rift, games are much quicker, so she needs to evolve her things a little bit faster. In Wild Rift, Lee Sin's W is a point and click ability. He now dashes wherever he wants on command, and also to lower the cooldown of his W, you must auto attack. So it goes down every time I auto attack. You can also get the shield by dashing towards an enemy, but you have to only do it towards an enemy. This does not work on units. This does not work on champion allies. It only works on himself. This is the biggest rework, and obviously it is there. Wait, wow, I didn't even know this, but Lee Sin's next attack deals an additional 55 magic damage and gains 40 physical magic vamp. So I won't have spell vamp on the next few autos or abilities, but only on the next auto. As you can see, I just gained a bunch of hit point for doing that. I didn't know that part, but now I do, and that's really interesting. Wow, so you can max it out if you really want. But yeah, that's the most interesting I've ever seen. In Wild Rift, Master Yi's Q can no longer crit, but for some reason, the default items recommend crit. So I don't really understand, but I don't think crit's that good on him anymore. Unless they took it out in the real game. Seraphine's W is a little bit different for the math it heals his allies. on the Summoner's Rift, it is not 50%. It just basically says per ally. Tryndamyr's W is now usable at all times, even if there's not an enemy around.
Minions have spawned.
He basically shouts, and in the area around him, as you saw. But the thing is, I thought they were slowed, even if they weren't looking away. But if they are looking away, just like Cassio's W, well, the opposite of Cassio's R, I meant, they will get slowed. But you can basically cast it around you, and it won't tell you if enemies are in a bush or not. In this game, Yasuo's R airbornes people for 1.5 seconds. In Summoner's Rift, they are airborne for 1 second, and also his critical strikes in this game gain 30% instead of 50%. But this is armor penetration, and I don't think this game has bonus armor penetration like in League of Legends. So that's only different. For some reason in this game, your W can target turrets and do damage to them as Alistair. I'm not sure why, but your headbutt actually deals 150% damage to turrets. So if there's a minion nearby, it'll do a lot. Make sure you select it. This is a really new addition, and I have no idea why it's not on Summoner's Rift, because it's kind of funny and it's kind of cool. But hopefully they add it. We'll see. In this game, Amumu's E slows enemies around him. In the other game, they don't slow at all. He actually has 0 slows, and I'm surprised they don't add this buff to Mumu in the real game, because he kind of sucks. But in this game, he does slow enemies around him when he presses E.
Okay.
But it's only pretty brief, as you can see. Also, the cast time in his R is really delayed. Wow. But seems like it's pretty good when you do this. But yeah, I've never seen a huge cast time before till that Amumu. Annie can do basically the same things, but in this game, she actually has the update. It's probably not even up there. Okay. Sorry. In this game, she has the update where you can shield allies or herself with her E, which is coming soon to Summoner's Rift. And also, secondly, her Q is now a projectile. So, no more click and point CC. You need to shoot it in a way, but to compensate for it, I think she got more range. But it seems like killing an enemy refunds the mana cost and halves his cooldown is still there. But also, her Q is AoE. I totally forgot to mention that. Check this out. It is now AoE. Super weird. Interesting. In this game mode, you can basically, instead of being a duration, it now soars up to arrows in her pocket, up to 6. And you have 2 automatically, so you can cast this whenever you want. 3, 4, 5, 6. Instead of getting charges, you now basically do like this. And I just use 6 of my arrows instead of trying to get 4 stacks of her Q. W is the same, except probably a little bit less arrows, but it goes up in levels. And in fact, on live servers, they're gonna make it like this soon. But it's only in Wild Rift at the moment. Hawkshot is still the same, and they had this one update. Oh yeah, that's what happened. You can turn your R with Ashe. Totally forgot you can do this. But it can only go a certain way for a while. Biggest rework I've ever seen in my life. Raylan Soul can now E and turn around with his E instead of going one direction. This means you can fly around the rift as far as you like, and I guess you can max out E for fun if you want to grief people, but this is pretty cool, I must say, just like Ashe Arrow. W is still the same, and yeah, you can now turn, kind of cool. Actually, this is an update that I don't think it'd be pretty OP in the actual league, but whatever. But I don't know what to get out. I guess I tap it again. I think I tap it again. Yeah, that's good. Camille's E does not double when it goes towards the champion anymore. It's now basically, as you can see, one direction instead of being one short and then one big if it goes towards enemies. So it's pretty short and makes sense because the skill shot would be too long if you want to hit someone across the screen. Since the mini map, since your map is basically a little bit smaller. But at least you can E in the same place. A little bit farther than little short on live servers. This is W. Doesn't have a passive poison damage anymore, but now does a bunch of damage. A little bit was basically more simpler. Garen, on the other hand, has been kind of different. For instance, his W doesn't gain the passive armor and MR. Unless they took it out. Not too sure. But the biggest change is going to be his R being kind of range and dashing you towards the enemy champion. So that is very interesting because now it is a gap closer. We can go like this. If you can't reach him and you need to finish him off with a Q or something after. Kind of cool. Very interesting how they don't add that though. The actual game. Weirdly enough, on Gragas you cannot cast abilities when you press your E now. Everything is locked out until you land your E. But you can still do this combo. So it kind of works out. As long as you can do that combo, I guess you're fine on Gragas. But you're locked out of every other ability. Janna is kind of weird. They reverted her in a sense where she doesn't get more damage off movement speed. Oh yeah, Janna's passive doesn't give her attack damage or more magic damage where she autos off Zephyr and her movement speed. Also, her E doesn't go on cooldown when you cast W or Q, like in the live servers or even R. So that's the only difference with her. Interestingly enough, Gravity EQ combo now has an indicator to cast E again, so you can go to your Lance. But of course, it's basically like casting your Q. As you can see, it's the same thing as casting your Q. Also, your E is an indicator when it's going to run out. So that's kind of cool. Very interesting stuff that they didn't add this to the real game, but it's okay. I think the E is not needed, but the indicator would be cool, you know? When you cast Jin's R, there's a little tag that shows where he's going to fire before you shoot it, and they can see that too. So they basically have a little bit more time to react to where you're going to shoot it. As it does shoot, well, what's that? Travel distance is probably a little bit different, but it's whatever. But they do see the line. Malphite's Q does more damage. That's what I noticed. It goes up by 16 instead of 15.
Turret lost.
I don't think W ever had a cooldown, but I think it's in here. Or it goes down in cooldown. Yeah, I think Malphite's actually an OP champ in this game. Yeah, it never went down on cooldown, and it was always 7. In this game, it starts at 10 and goes down. His E also has really high base damage. His R actually knocks up for 2 seconds instead of 1.5. MF is basically the same. He has the same passive, same ult. The only thing that's different is now her Q is basically a skill shot. Check this out. I'm shooting nowhere, but it does still bounce.
Not a problem.
As you can see, it'll still bounce to the thing behind her. It will bounce at weird angles. It will. But yeah, it's basically a skill shot. Just like Annie's Q. Nasus is the same, but he gets increased by 4 or 8. Obviously sped up for Wild Rift. So in Wild Rift, slaying a mountain dragon will empower her Q to slow people by 60% while in dragon form. I don't know how long. If she has Cloud Drake, she'll cause Burnout to haste Shyvana by an additional 25% movement speed instead of 30, so 55. And if she has Inferno Drake, she gets true damage instead of she gets the true damage from the on hit damage from her E while in dragon form only.
The dragon has
If she has
spawned.
Ocean Dragon, she gets 150 more health. But that's it. Maybe more, I don't know. In this game mode, Twisted Fate's E is now inactive, as well as a passive. But the thing is, he gets more attack speed when he presses E. And gets money for some reason. Wait, what? Oh. Yeah, if you attack champions. So make sure you use this on champions and auto them to death. Interesting. Interestingly enough, that's a big rework. That's kind of cool. His ult seems really huge though. There's Q can now be span while moving in a circle, and it looks kind of funky. So you spin while shooting someone, you can probably shoot them while spinning. That's the only cool thing about him. Let's move on to the next. Those seem Varus though. Vayne's W now is inactive as well as a passive. As you can see, I just activated W and I got more attack speed. Let's do it again. So now I attack slow. Very interesting. What is it? Goes up by 55% AS. Just like Twisted Fate. Very interesting stuff.
Let's get to the fun part. Come on, resist arrest already. A little smash and grab.
In this game mode,
I don't need a plan.
her passive is now swapped with her W. So as you attack, you get stacks of your W, which now grant a shield that you can call on command.
Baron Nashor has spawned.
But you have denting blows essentially up all the time, as you can see. But you also get attack speed, of course, for activating it. But yeah, you can use your shield whenever you want, but it doesn't proc off your Q, won't proc off your E, won't proc off your ult, only off your W. And if you have 0 stacks, a little tiny shield. But also, oh yeah, and at max stacks, you also get a burst of movement speed. So remember that for gap closing. Thank you for watching this video. We've gone through every champion that I've looked up, and those are the reworks. So thank you guys for watching this video. Every rework has been detailed, as you can see in the list. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Peace out.